You are now in the pre-show.
Okay.
If you want to say anything to the people.
Hello, everyone. This is Sal the Observer Monaco, and we're getting ready to start the show. So please be patient because we will be on in just a few minutes.
I'm going to see who accepts the stream. Twitch has accepted the stream. YouTube has accepted the stream. Facebook has accepted the stream. I'm now going to get the link so I can send it to Terry.
Let's. I wanted to say something, but I'm not going to say it while we're on the air. I did video every...
Does anybody else want the link except for Terry?
If you can put it on my wall, great.
I can text it to you and you can do it.
I can't. I don't have access to my wall when I'm in the field.
Do you want it, Frank?
Sure.
Sure. You want to give it to Frank?
Sure. I'll send it to anybody.
Well, can you put it on my wall for me?
Who are you talking to?
Terry.
Put it on your wall when
Yeah.
I get it?
Yeah.
How do I do that?
You just cut and paste and put it on the... No?
See, I am as unsavvy as savvy can be.
Richard, do you think you could do it, or is it still going
I'm
to
not-
prevent you from doing it?
I can't find Terry's Facebook name. What is your Facebook name?
Terry Bronstein.
That's what I thought. You're not in my friends list.
That's weird.
Do you want me to accept you as a friend right now?
Is your name Terrie?
No, Terry.
Okay. So what I'll do then is I'll look you up. I'll send you a friend request.
Under Terry Bronstein.
Sure.
I've got three.
Sort of like the attorney Joel Bronstein.
I got 3 Facebooks. I've got one under Terry Bronstein and one Terry Licata Bronstein.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I gotta send you, I think, a friend request now.
Yeah, I'm going to review some of the movies I saw at Craig's Festival. I got the list right here. Oh, the one I was talking about was called Endurance.
All right, I just sent you a friend request.
To what? Terry Bronstein?
Yes. Should I send one to Steve? Friend request?
To who?
To your guest.
Frank?
Frank?
Yeah.
Yes,
sure.
please.
All right, looking you up on Facebook.
I just confirmed you.
Wonderful.
And if you could put it on my wall, I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
But you got to say who you're talking to.
You. Terry already said you can't.
Oh, Terry can't.
Oh, I don't know how, guys.
Well, you're not alone because most people have a limit to their technology knowledge.
I'm lucky I can turn the phone on.
Richard, if you want to send it to me, I will forward it over to Terry.
I'll show you a time step, though.
Okay.
Want to learn how to tap dance? That I can.
You're going to send it to me in Messenger?
Yeah, is that okay?
That's fine.
All right.
You've been a great co-host, Terry. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was not happy with music as art.
I went to college with the Goo Goo Dolls. They were all 3 of them were in my class.
Were they good companions?
They were excellent guys. George Satuska was the original drummer, and Robbie Tatak and Johnny. They were all good guys. They paid their dues.
A fellow came here and did shows for years.
With you here?
Yeah, and he was the original lead singer until the Goo Goo Dolls were contacted by Warner Brothers. And it was probably the people at Warner Brothers said, we'll sign you if you get a different lead singer.
Oh, wow.
So Greg Sterlis got booted. Did you know that, Sal?
I did not.
Yeah.
You mean for Bad Ronald?
Well, that's his band now, but
It was a different band.
no, he was in the Goo Goo Dolls.
Wait a minute. Greg Sterlis was in the Goo Goo Dolls?
Before Warner Brothers signed them, and then Warner Brothers said, you got to get a different lead singer, and
Oh,
we'll
wow.
sign you.
Wow.
Sort of like when the Beatles went to their record label, the record label said, you got to get a different drummer. So they hired Ringo, and they kicked out Pete Best.
That I
It
knew.
kind of happens all the time.
Well, it's like Richie Valens. He was part of a band, and they said, we'll sign you if you get rid of the band.
Did he agree?
Yeah?
Now, what the record label will sometimes do is they'll say, we'll sign your band. All the members are good looking, but when you go to record a record, we're going to choose the musicians, not your bandmates. I wonder how that makes the band members feel when they do that.
Well, I do know.
Okay, the request has been sent to you, Frank.
Okay.
Did it show up? When you accept it, I can now message you.
There was one group on America's Got Talent where they were not going to be put through, but the girls in the band said, put our leader through, please, and we'll walk away. And they wound up putting the leader through without them.
Was it a good move?
I thought so. And I thought it was really nice of them to do that, to show that they were more concerned about their friend than they were about fame and fortune.
Well, you've heard of the band Pink Floyd?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the lead singer was having mental problems.
Mm-hmm.
And the band said to the record label, we're going to kick out our lead singer because he's unstable.
Mm-hmm.
And the record label said, hold on a second. And then they had a meeting and they said to the singer with the mental problems,
Mm-hmm.
they said, if the band breaks up, you stay and they go. And the singer said, okay. Well, 2 weeks later, the record label saw what a handful he was with his mental problems.
Mhm.
They called the band back up and they said, did we mistakenly tell you that we wanted the singer and not you?
Mm-hmm.
Frank, I don't have that with Andy tomorrow on my calendar.
I have it on mine. You sent it to me.
I did?
Yeah.
So, Frank, let me know when I can send you.
Okay, Richard, I have 2 Facebook pages. Did you go to my,
I went to the wrong one?
yeah, I think you went to the wrong one because I don't have any messages from you.
Okay. Oh, then somebody with your name just got a message from me. Oh, no, they got a friend request.
Okay.
Maraschiello.
IELLO.
Yeah.
There's like 5 of us.
Okay, so,
There's one, the picture is me with my daughter at her wedding.
all right.
See that one?
Okay, so. Oh, yeah, I see. All right. Well, that was the one I sent it to. I'm going to hit cancel,
Yeah, I'm not seeing it.
and as soon as it cancels, I'll send it to you again.
Okay.
Add friend. And it also says I can send you a message, so I'll do that now.
Yeah, if you send it to Messenger, I got my Messenger open right now.
Okay. Here is the link. And then we put the link in number 7. And I'm going to hit send.
Okay.
All right, I just sent it.
So, Terry,
Or just send it to my email? Or my Facebook?
I don't know who you're talking to.
Richard, you send it to my Facebook, the link?
Yeah, to your Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
Frank, is this the only book you did?
That's the only one I've published. I've written a couple more that I'm just kind of holding on to, getting ready to publish them.
Okay. Richard, do I have time to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You must have drank a lot of water before you came here. I did.
Richard, can you help me? I don't see you on my messenger.
Richard Wicca, W-I-C-K.
I know, I don't.
Huh.
That's messenger.
Is there like a little bell?
Richard Wicca, you just showed up now. Where was that for the last 5 minutes when you sent it to
They
me?
gave a message to the mouse, and the mouse had to get on the treadmill.
Okay.
Okay, now this came up.
Yeah, click on that.
And now,
Look at that.
how do I,
Yeah, that's me.
but how do I view it?
You know, you might have to consult with another Facebook user on that.
Frank just brought it up. Frank's got it.
I can't do it on my phone, but when I get home, I can do it on my computer.
Oh, but you can see it, right?
Yeah, it's right there.
How come Frank can see it and I can't see it?
Talk to a fellow Facebook user, like Sal. He's very good at Facebook.
Sal is?
What makes you think that?
Sal, I'm in
It's been
Messenger.
almost a year and I still haven't figured out how to get back into the field with it. What about it?
I'm at Richard Wicca. I can't pull the picture up that Frank got on his Messenger. I can't pull the picture up from the link. Because when he gets home, he's going to look at it on the computer, but I can't pull it up. Does that mean we're friends on Facebook now, Richard?
It means you're in the pre-show.
No, she asked. Oh, okay. I don't know. It doesn't look like anything I've dealt with, so I don't know.
Okay, tell
I
me.
just sent it to you, Terry.
Yeah, I'm friends with you, it says, but
Yeah,
we'll
tell me
see.
when everybody's shared up.
See if you got it.
Then yesterday. Every day is a new.
Yeah, I got it, Frank. I think
Okay.
I got it from you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Okay, is everybody all shared up?
Yep.
Yes.
Excellent. May you have a big audience.
Good.
We do? Good.
Okay, now let's see if the comments are going to be coming in.
You mean, but for someone besides Mick?
Yeah. Let's see. How about it for the first comment? I'll put down "Beware of Mick."
Sal, do you want to introduce me? Because it's your
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, of course.
There you go. You see the comments in the box there? Sam?
Yep.
Okay. Ready to start?
Yep.
Okay. When it says "on the air," you're on the air.
Welcome to the Oracle of Enlightenment Vortex. This is the Observer, Sal Monaco, along with my co-host, the very lovely Miss Terry Bronstein.
Hi, Sal. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Yep. And I want to introduce our guest for the evening, Mr. Frank
Marcello.
Marchiello. Oh, okay. Yeah, Frank Marchiello, author, teacher extraordinaire. How are you?
Hi.
So you were a teacher for a long time, huh?
Yes. City of Buffalo 6th grade teacher for 22 years.
Oh, must have been interesting.
Oh, yes, it was.
But so is what we've got to share tonight.
Yes.
We got to share the fact that Frank wrote this fabulous book.
Right.
This fabulous book is called Dress Jeans, Disco, and Dating.
Mm-hmm.
He's the author. He does the author and wrote it and created it, and he's going to tell us all about it tonight. And we want to know what prompted you to write this book.
Yes.
I never thought I was going to write a book, Terry. You know, something happened. I was working on a construction site, and I got a phone call that kind of upset me because a very good friend of mine was very sick. And I called her. I hadn't talked to her in probably 20 years. And we started talking, and I told her she was going to be okay. And you're going to get through this, and you're going to be okay. And after I got off the phone with her, I started thinking about a whole bunch of different emotions I had hearing that she was sick and that somebody that was my age, and I was in my early 50s at the time, was sick. And I started then thinking about my childhood and a bunch of people that influenced me in my life. And I started thinking about, all of a sudden, the wheel started turning, and I started thinking about writing a book. And I actually was next to a box of garbage, and I ripped the top off the box, and I just wrote a few notes on it. And in my head, in literally 3 minutes, I wrote the book in my mind. So it just all came out all of a sudden. So I went home that night, and I sat at my computer and I wrote about 50 pages, and none of it made any sense when I first did it. I was just writing things that were popping into my head, and I let it sit, and I didn't do anything with it. And then my friend who was sick ended up making it and being okay, and I said, well, is anybody going to want to read a book about someone getting sick? And it was very confusing at the beginning, and then I just let it sit. And a few years later, my friend's mom passed away, and I went to her funeral, and while I was sitting in the church, all of a sudden it all made sense. And I went home, and I started writing the book, and I completed it in about 4 days after that. And the rest is history, I guess.
So this is the real thing. This is your life.
Yes, it was my life.
Experiences,
I wanted to talk about my family. I wanted to talk about my friends. I wanted to talk about high school emotions that kids have. And it was very difficult at the beginning because, most guys don't want to write about their feelings in high school, getting, this girl doesn't like me, this girl dropped me, this girl did that, and your friends that turn out to not be your friends. And but I wanted to really write about mostly my family. I wanted to talk about my grandmother. I wanted to talk about my mother and father. I wanted to talk about the neighborhood I grew up in and where, I fit in the pecking order of who was cool and who wasn't cool. And it was quite an experience writing that. And it's having, putting your emotions out there and your innermost feelings. It's a very special thing to do. And then you got to wonder, does anybody really want to read about what I'm writing about and what about my life? And it was quite a journey. It was quite a journey.
So all the characters in this book are people that you know?
Absolutely.
been
They're all
acquainted
real
with,
characters.
They're all family, your experiences, and your life experiences with people and how you
Right.
related to them and how they affected you.
Right. I wanted to
in
talk
your
about
life.
people that, that turned me into who I was. Everybody turned me in a little bit of a different direction, and how you weave your way through high school. And sometimes things are very important to some people and they're not important to you. And I was kind of that kid that didn't really, I didn't follow what the rest of the kids were doing. I kind of was more a thinker. My grandmother, my mom's mom used to tell me I was thinking too much all the time when I was a kid. Start just going out there and doing things and stop thinking so much. But that's what made me who I am. So I'm not going to say it was good or bad, but my grandmother, this is my mother's mother, was very always telling me, you're always thinking about something, just enjoy yourself and lighten up, but that just wasn't my my personality. So
When I started reading the book, I could not put it down. And I personally am not a reader, but I'll tell you, that book had me just in a state of thrall. I just couldn't believe what I was reading. It was wonderful the way you wrote it, presented it, and I could see the image in my head because I lived in that era.
Well-
I lived. All that was my life, too.
when Terry first started reading the book, she called me and told me that Terry and I had the same kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Sally, and I actually wrote about her in my book. And Terry goes, "Oh my God, you had Mrs. Sally was your teacher? She was my kindergarten teacher." And I wrote about my kindergarten teacher, that she actually influenced me, and that's really cool. Being a teacher, I think about all the teachers that affected me, the ones that said something to me and made me think. And I went to a Catholic grammar school, and I had the Felician nuns beating on me for 9 years, but they did teach me how to read and write. Oddly enough, when I was in second grade, we had the SRA reading program, and I was reading on senior and high school level when I was in second grade. And my nun, Sister Angela, I don't know if you had her.
No.
She was an awful person, but
Good, I'm glad I didn't have her.
you're lucky you didn't have her. She didn't know what to do with me because the other kids could barely read, and here I was. I'm reading on almost a college level. But it was interesting. Grammar school was very interesting. The majority of the book is spent in high school and the first 2 years of college. But I had a bunch of teachers that influenced me. Probably I dedicated the book to Mr. Coleman, who was my social studies, my reading teacher. I went to Cardinal Doherty High School. And I really didn't like reading books when I was a kid because the books they asked us to read were so boring for a kid. I didn't think it was very interesting at all to read these books about old people and the classic books. I just was not into it. But Mr. Coleman, I can tell you the name of the book. My freshman year in high school, the first book we read was a book called The Pig Man. And it was about an old man whose wife died, and he couldn't accept the fact that his wife had died. And he gets involved with these two teenage kids who are kind of outsiders, and they all become friends. And I thought the book was fantastic.
I read that book.
Isn't it a great book?
Well, it's been so long. I read it in grammar school.
Okay. And I read that book, and I loved it. And then I went to Mr. Coleman, and I said, this is the first book I ever read that I actually liked. And he's like, let me give you another book, and I can tell you the name of that book. It was My Darling, My Hamburger. It's a funny name, but the book was great. And it was about a boy who was in high school who liked a girl that worked at a hamburger stand. And it was great. And then after that, I kept asking Mr. Coleman, give me another book to read. Give me another book to read. Because when I was a kid, I would come home from school and my father would say, and this is when I was in grammar school, you got to read a book. I want you to read a book. And I told him I don't like reading books. Well, and he would tell me, how come you read so well and you write so well, but you don't read books? And I said, I don't know, Dad. So we said, all right, we made a deal, and my father made me read the newspaper. And at the time, my father was working for the Courier Express. He was a photographer for them. So I would read the Courier Express from front to back, and then I would read the Buffalo News, the Buffalo Evening News then, from cover to cover when I was like in first grade, second grade. And then my dad would ask me questions about what I read, and I would answer the questions. So a lot of it had to do with the way my dad wanted me to read and write. So
Well, you had a very close-knit family. Everybody, it seemed, when I was reading
Yes.
the book, were close. And but you have to tell us about your dad, who was an entertainer.
Yes.
And I want to hear all about this.
Well, in 1953, my father won a national singing competition called the Voices of Tomorrow, and he had to go to Boston to compete for the prize, and it was like America's Got Talent or any of those shows where there's people singing trying to win the competitions. So once he won that competition, to backtrack a little, my grandparents were both right off the boat from Italy, so opera was very important to my father. My father wanted to be an opera singer. But, 1953, 1954, things were starting to change a little bit. Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin.
The
And,
Rat Pack.
yes. So that was kind of not cool at that point to sing opera, but my father, he wanted to sing opera. So eventually he came back to Buffalo. He went to, he worked at the town casino downtown, and he was a busboy. And one day there was a band there, and it was a big band, and he wanted to, he was watching the band, and the lead singer left for some reason. And they were left without a lead singer, and my father went up on stage and sang with them, and after that was it. And he eventually left Buffalo, moved to New York City, lived there for 5 or 6 years, was doing off-Broadway plays, singing and dancing. Other members of my family, my Uncle Paul was a tap dancer who tap danced with Bojangles. That's a real man, Mr. Bojangles. My other uncles were in vaudeville. They were all comedians and traveled all over the country. And my father was the youngest of 12 kids, so I think he saw a lot of that. There was a piano in my grandmother's living room, and they sang and played that piano until it got worn out. So my dad had a lot of people around him that were entertainers and singers and dancers, and all my uncles could sing. And I've heard recordings of my grandfather singing, and he had a beautiful voice also.
So when you wrote this book, did you use everybody's real names, or did you change
I did
them?
use my real names of my aunts, my uncles, and if we want to go there, once I started the process of getting the book published, I had to do a Zoom call with the publisher, and in the Zoom call, there were a bunch of attorneys on the screen all around, and they had the manuscript in front of them, and they were asking me, is this a real person? Is this their real name? Is this a real school? Is this a real restaurant? And they were telling me, you got to change the name, but one thing I did learn was, if someone was dead, they can't sue you, so you can use their name.
Yeah,
so,
but can their
Family,
estate
the
sue you?
family. estate.
according to them, no. So I did change. I changed the name. I changed my name from Frank to Nick because I thought Nick and Frank kind of sound the same. It's an Italian name,
Did they tell you you could get signed releases from the people?
yes, I did get multiple signed releases. I used the names of Casa de Pizza restaurant. They gave me the permission to use their name in the book. The Elmwood Taco, I mentioned Elmwood Taco multiple times in there. I got permission from them, and I got permission from some people in the book who were living that I wanted to use their name, and I wanted everyone to know who they were. So I did get written permission from them. So
So this book is basically your journal of your life?
yes, from about 14 years old till about age 20. So
What's your
Interesting.
favorite part of this book? Like when you're reading it, what portion of it is
My-
affects you?
favorite part, and this was, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people about this part of the book. When I was a freshman in high school, my mother took me out to, I don't know how many people remember the Fantastic stores in Buffalo, and that's where you went to buy dress jeans and disco kind of clothing.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was actually on the corner of Elmwood and Bidwell, so only a few blocks from where I lived. My mother, the one day I came home from school, she said, "Are you going to go to this dance?" And I said, "Yes." And I wanted to go, and she goes, "Come on, I'm going to take you. I'm going to buy you some clothes so you look cool at going to your first dance." So my mother took me. I bought a pair of dress jeans. I got a jean vest. I got a real cool shirt, and I bought my first pair of clogs, a pair of blue Bastad clogs. And as my
Now they're popular.
they're back in again. I know. I see kids wearing them. So yeah, and I picked my my mother. We got back into the car and we're about to drive home, and she goes, "I have to tell you something." And I said, "What's up, Mom?" And
Thank you.
She's like, "I got a phone call. I'm going to be chaperoning the dance." And I was like, "Oh no, you can't go. That you're my mom. You're going to ruin it. I'm trying to be cool. You know, I got all these good clothes now, and I'm going to be cool for the first time in my life. I can't be cool with my mom being a chaperone there." So we had quite a few conversations about that. My mother, so I ended up making the rules for a dance with my mom, and I wrote them down, and I gave them to my mom, and I told her she couldn't take my picture or come near me when I was with my friends. And looking back on it, some of them were pretty mean. But my mom had a very good sense of humor, and she said, "Okay, I'll go along with this." So my cousin Ronnie he's in my book. The two of us were like brothers. We did everything together in high school. And I went over to his house, got dressed over there. My mother came and picked us up. And the other thing was she had to drop us off, and she had to wait 5 minutes before she could come into the dance. So, and all the way over there, she's telling my cousin how funny these rules are that your goofy cousin made up for me. And I realized that maybe I went a little too far with some of the rules. But we went to the dance, and basically, I was like the nerdy freshman kid at a dance when everybody there is older than you, and you're afraid to walk up to the girls and talk to them. So I stood underneath the basketball hoop in the gym basically the whole night and just watched people walking by, and that was like my first introduction into disco. And they had the disco ball on the ceiling. The band was playing. The band was Emerald Trust. I don't know. They're actually still around, still performing now. But that was the band. And we, afterwards, we went to, there was a Henry's restaurant out in front of Cardinal Doherty on Hurdle. And I went there with my mom and my cousin, and we were eating, and I'm looking around the restaurant, and there's all these kids there with their mom and dad. They had all come from the dance, and we kept walking up, plugging quarters into the jukebox. Excuse me, and we were playing the same songs over and over again. But I started looking around at the kids and the families, and I realized what a jerk I was to my mother, and I started feeling really, really bad. And I started looking around at the kids. And that was the first time I ever said to myself, this is what it's all about. Your family's the most important thing. So I'm sitting there with my cousin, who's my best friend, and my mom, who was my best friend. And I made that decision right then that I didn't care if my mother went to the dance anymore. So after we dropped Ronnie off, I'm in the car with her, and we're driving home. And I said, we pulled up in front of the house, and I told my mom, I said, I'm really sorry that I made up these stupid rules, and I'm never going to be embarrassed that you're ever with me. And the last thing I wrote in that chapter, actually, it's funny you asked me that, because I did pick that page right out in the book, and I just wanted to read. Honestly, this is the only time I'm going to read out of the book, but I just wanted to read the section, what I said. So, high school is such a confusing period of your life. But right then and there, it was perfectly clear to me about my feelings for my mother and my cousin who was sitting with me. This is what it's all about, I told myself. I also told myself that if you make time to notice, all the really important things in life are within your reach if you remember to take hold of them. I made my mind up to grab a hold and never let go of the feelings that were most important to me. And at that moment, in a noisy hamburger joint, I decided I didn't care if my mother crashed all the rest of my high school dances. In fact, I thought it was kind of cool to have her around. We ate food, tried as hard as we could to suck the thickest strawberry shakes known to mankind through our striped straws, and listened to some great disco songs on the jukebox. We dunked our fries in ketchup and vinegar, and most importantly, we spent time talking with each other like we always had. But right then, it all seemed a little different to me. Something had changed me for the better. I started to grow up and realize the important things in life for the first time. After we dropped Ronnie off, and just before we pulled up in front of our house, I told my mom the rules for the dance were canceled, and that I no longer was embarrassed to have my mother at any school dance I went to. I also told her I was so sorry for making up the dumb rules in the first place. She hugged me and started to cry and told me how much she loved me. What I wouldn't give to have just one more Henry's hamburger with my mom right now. So that sentence, what I wouldn't give to have just one more Henry's hamburger with my mom right now, is the sentence the most amount of people have commented to me that they said I started to cry when I read that.
I know, I did.
So that was it.
I like that it's your view of looking in on your life.
Yep.
It's you talking, you describing what went on and your feelings towards everything.
Well, my father always told me, if you're ever going to write anything, you have to paint a picture.
Yes.
He'd say, Frankie, you're writing, you write so well. Paint a picture. Let everybody, and he always told me, everything is better in a book because you use your imagination. And if the author paints that picture, it's better than any movie you're ever going to see. And how many times have you read a book and then watched the movie and been disappointed? And I realize how difficult it is to squeeze all this stuff that's in a book into a movie. But I love using my imagination. And, that's what I did. I tried to paint a picture with the book. And if you're not our age, no one has an idea what it was like growing up in the 70s. And I thought it was just there's really not that many books written about the 70s and growing up in the 70s. So,
speaking of a movie, is that something that's in your future desires for this book?
Absolutely. I have, I've written a screenplay for the book. I think it's great. And the screenplay was an amazing process trying to do that. Again, I'd never written a book before, and I certainly had never written a screenplay. But the screenplay is, I've given it to a few people, and everyone that's read it has loved it. So, but I wanted to get back and finish talking about my dad, because I really didn't get to finish my story about my dad. So my dad is living in New York City. And one of his roommates was Tiny Tim. There was like 5 guys in a one-bedroom apartment. Tiny Tim, Edward Mulhare. He was the ghost on The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. And he was also the priest in the Frank Sinatra movie Von Ryan's Express. Just a hilarious man. Excuse me. And
when you say Tiny Tim, do you mean the actor that played Tiny Tim?
The man that was Tiny Tim was my father.
In which version?
The guy that sang Tiptoe Through the Tulips on The Tonight Show and got married on The Tonight Show.
Loving You Has Made Me Bananas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he got married on the Tonight Show.
I remember that as
And yes,
yesterday.
that was one of my father's roommates. And the third guy that was his roommate was the principal in all the Back to the Future movies that kept telling Marty McFly, "You're a slacker, McFly. You're a slacker, McFly." So,
I know him.
yeah, he was in a million movies.
He was on this show.
Really?
Yeah. He's a great guy. I just
Yeah.
saw him last year.
He's still alive?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Excuse me. So
Interesting.
eventually, my father was auditioning, and he started getting parts in plays, and he was the original lead in the off-Broadway West Side Story. Now, my dad was very Italian-looking, and it was a perfect role for him. So he was in the off-Broadway show for a little over a year. And then Hollywood came calling, and that, I believe, was 1959, 1960. And he auditioned for the movie. And my father was only 5'5" tall, and all the girls that were auditioning to play the lead were all taller than him. And he had told me that they put him in elevator shoes. They did everything they could to try to make him look taller, and it didn't work. And, you know, it's Hollywood, and see you later. So at that point, my father had come back to Buffalo and married my mom and brought her back to New York City. And so now my father was married with my mom, and the agreement was that they would stay and try to make it, and that if my mother became pregnant, they would move back to Buffalo. So in 1962, they moved back to Buffalo because, that's when I was born. So, but my father sang everywhere in Buffalo, sang at the Italian Festival for the first 30 years it was there, sang at every nightclub,
What's
Three
your
Coins.
father's name again?
Frank Maraschiello.
Frank
Also.
Maraschiello.
Yeah, and he was in plays at UB, operas, sang opera, was the lead soloist at a bunch of churches, sang all over the place. When I was a kid, I went with him and helped him set up the microphones and the speakers and everything. And he sang with the Tony Piccolo big band, which was an amazing group of guys. I mean, those guys all played with, you name it, Elvis, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, all those guys. They were all from Buffalo. Just amazing musicians. So.
Well, you let me hear a little bit of your dad singing on the tape. I was just so thoroughly impressed. I thought I was listening to Frank Sinatra. He was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal singer.
Yeah, my dad died about 20 years ago, and after he died, I found some reel-to-reel tapes that he had of him singing, and one of them was him singing in 1959 at Carnegie Hall with a full orchestra behind him.
Wow.
And that's what I played for Terry, and I didn't, I had no way to play it on a reel-to-reel, so I had it recorded, put onto a disc, and it was amazing. So I can't sing, though. I can't, not even in the shower.
No, you sure?
No.
So what was your reaction when you heard this book made the New York Times bestseller list?
I did not even know that it had made the New York Times
Wow.
bestseller list because I coach hockey, and one of the fathers on the hockey team called me and said, your book's on the New York Times bestseller list. And I was like, Dave, I thought he was kidding me. So then he sent a screenshot of it, and there it was. And I'm like, holy cow, I can't believe it. And that was right after the book came out. It was on the New York Times bestseller list for 3 weeks in August of 2019. So it was like a snowball started, and it started rolling. And all of a sudden, I started getting messages on Facebook from people that had read the book. Messages. I got letters in the mail from people that had read the book, and they weren't just Buffalo people. They were people from all over the world. I got a letter from a lady in Australia. about how much she loved the book, and that she wanted to meet my mother. And I had to write her a letter back and tell her that, my mom had passed away. But I said, it was an amazing thing. I had a book signing at a restaurant on Hurdle, and 300 people showed up. And I was like, what is happening with us? And then with this, and then AM Buffalo called me, and they did an interview with me, and people kept buying the book. So,
Was it hard getting it published?
well, everyone told me that it was going to be very difficult to get it published, and when I was done with the book, I didn't know what to do with it. And again, I didn't know if it was any good. I thought it was good, but I was the one that wrote it. So I let a few people that I worked with read it, and they were younger girls in their 20s, and they loved it. And one of the girls told me, can I give the manuscript to my mother and let her read it? Well, her mother called me and said, this is really good. You should try to get it published. So a friend of mine had a friend who was an editor in New York City, and she suggested that I would send the manuscript to this guy named Matt in New York City. So I sent it to him, and I called him on the phone, and I talked with him. And he said, well, you probably won't hear from me for 6 to 8 months. And, I got 20 other manuscripts in front of me, and he kind of blew me off. And then about a week later, he called me and he goes, I love your book. And I couldn't believe it, because I thought I was just, I was thinking like, you remember the Waltons? John Boy was
Yes,
always
I
sending his
do.
books out, and and I'm like, what the heck just happened? I'm 1 for 1. I better
Wow.
retire right there. So he said, do I get permit? Now, I hadn't copyrighted it yet, so I just sent it to him because I figured they were going to tell me they didn't want it. But the guy said, I love your book, and we're very interested in publishing it. So then I had to get it copyrighted, and I continued to talk with them, and that's when they set up the Skype meeting with all the attorneys. Is this a real person? And then we had to get into the legal stuff, which really wasn't a lot of fun. And then the funny thing, after I had finished with their attorneys, then all of their attorneys told me I had to hire an attorney. So they were only looking out to cover the publishers, and I had to find an attorney to cover me now. So I hired an attorney in Buffalo. She went over it, and she's a girl that I went to college with, and she loved the book too. And she told me a few things, get rid of this, get rid of that, and I did, and then we started the publishing process. So
Very nice.
I see a film coming out of this. I
Oh.
really do.
You think it could be made into a screenplay?
Yes.
The screenplay's already done. It
is?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's ready to be a movie, and I'm very excited about the screenplay. The screenplay is in many ways it allowed me to develop the characters a little bit more than I did in the book. My father is a lot more active in the screenplay than he is in the book. My goal with the book and what the publishers told me was to keep it at 250 to 260 pages. That this was like a summertime read, and that it's a book that you want to read in a few days. Basically told me don't write War and Peace 900 pages long. So I kept it at 250 pages. But I'm very visual in what I see, and I can see every scene that I've written in the screenplay. I'm not a director. I'm not saying I'm a director, but I could tell everybody where to be and what to do. I've scouted around a little bit with a friend of mine who we found some locations. A lot of the locations that I mentioned The house I grew up in is still there. I know the people that live in the house. My grandmother's house, which is very important in the book. My grandmother's house is still there. I managed to talk my way into that house and walk around and see it. A few of the restaurants that we talked about, the Armory Tavern on Connecticut Street. My father had his 50th birthday there. The place is exactly the way it was when my dad had his birthday party there. And I'm just feeling it. It's slowly starting to come together. And I have someone who's interested in being the cinematographer, and we'll see where it goes. But this is all so exciting. It just is.
Yes. Now, walking into your grandmother's house, that was the first time in how many years you were there?
I had not been to my grandmother's house since 1977.
So you walk in there and you see things.
Right.
There.
I saw.
What did you
I saw
see that brought back these memories?
It was ghosts. When I walked in, my grandmother again, my father had 11 brothers and sisters. So anytime on a Sunday, you went to my grandma's house, you walked in, you would trip over boots because everybody would just walk in the front door, drop their boots, put their jacket anywhere. Back then, all the men wore the hats, and there'd be hats all over the place. And I walked in, and then my grandmother had to the left when you walked in her front hall. She had a little Singer sewing machine, the pump type, and I saw it. It wasn't there, but I saw it there. It was so amazing to go back in there. And then her living room, and again, when I was a kid, that living room seemed like it could fit 500 people. And I walked in, and I was amazed at how small it really was. But I saw all my uncles sitting on their chairs around there. But the thing that got me the most was when there was a bay window in her living room, and I walked over to the bay window, and my grandmother had one of those silver Christmas trees that spun around, and then she had the colored light that spun.
Oh my God, I remember those.
And I got tears in my eyes because when I was a kid, I was standing in the same spot I did when I was a kid, and I used to just look up at that Christmas tree, and you're a kid, it's Christmas time, Santa's coming, and I got so full of emotion. I was just like, oh my God, I felt like my grandmother was right there with me, and it was such a great experience. I could write a book about the feelings I got doing that, just walking in Grandma's house again. And the people there were like, "Hey, you want to film outside? You want to film inside? You got it, whatever you want." And I said, "Okay," and that's pushing me. It's going to happen, Terry. We're going to get this done. We're going to. It's going to happen. So.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I could direct it.
Sure.
Anyway, we're just going to take a little break for a minute while I review a few of the movies I saw at the Amazing Fantasy Film Festival. Mm-hmm. Starting off on Friday, there was a couple animated shorts. One was called Foil Guy versus Anvil, and the other one was called Summon a Gravedigger. And they both were interesting, although I didn't quite understand the second one. It was about pigs trying to feed a monster in the graveyard. But Caliburn was a King Arthur short, and it was so well done, I couldn't believe it. It was about King Arthur offering, trying to get the Lady of the Lake to repair his sword. And, for 16 minutes, it was just so well done. But the feature film Journey, which was about a warrior trekking through the underworld trying to find his girlfriend and restore his friend and lift the curse on his girlfriend, it was so visually stunning. I mean, it's like nothing you've ever seen for something of an independent film. There was Deb and Joan, which was about a robot falling in love with its creator. Freya, which was I'm still not quite sure what the purpose of that film was, but I think it was a woman who killed a lot of people trying to deal with the fact that she did it in medieval times. And The Box, the Con, and The Handsome Man in Fandom, great documentary about the early days of fandom and this person who saved everything. Now, Greg, who's the proprietor of the festival, ran his movie Frenzy Moon. It's a werewolf movie, and I have to say, it is an amazing film, and I highly recommend it. And it takes a turn that I didn't expect in the movie. And it also has a few friends of ours in the film, and I highly recommend it. I think it's Greg's third best.
What's the name of it again?
Frenzy Moon. And it's third only to Slime City Massacre and Guns of Eden.
Wow.
I was not in Guns of Eden. I was in the other one, though, and I wasn't in this one either. Now, there was a short called Like Me, but this one called The End of October, very scary, about a demon in medieval times trying to tempt these women, and it was very, very scary. And this feature, Straight On Till Morning, was great because it was like, what was that famous film where the two women go off Thelma and Louise. This was Thelma and Louise meets the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, for the first half, it's a girl buddy movie, and for the second half, it's your proverbial. We have two crazy people trying to raise a child with weird disabilities, and now he's some kind of rip-off of Leatherface, only now he's Metallic Face. And I have to say that there were some very disturbing scenes in this movie. But all in all, it was a great film, and I highly recommend it.
And these are all local filmmakers.
Some of them are. Some of them were sent in from out of town. And yeah, let's see what else. I got to. Oh, Astral Plane Drifter. Okay, now I'm pretty sure the guy that made this film, really put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's kind of out there, but it tells a good story and has great characters. It's called The Astral Plane Drifter. There's another one called Midnight Snack. I didn't understand it, so I'm not going to talk about it. Then there was a film called Burnt Flowers. It was a conspiracy thriller, and it made no sense, and I fell asleep during it. Daydreamers and Black Moon were, yeah, they were experimental in nature, and I don't know really what else to say other than they were good. Yeah, we had Nestel. That was a very good movie about fashion, drug culture, that kind of stuff, with a couple of shorts, Escaping Gravity and Forever. Again, good films. Now, on Saturday, following, we had Best Served Cold by Larry Saunders and Keith Lukowski. Larry's a friend of mine, and Endurance, which is one I talked about earlier, that stars one of our friends, Joe O'Connell. Mm-hmm. And that one was really freaky, but I liked it. Best Served Cold was two women who decide to basically, one is an ex-con and the other one is I want to get away from my husband, and they basically start a life of crime, and it takes them in some interesting directions. Let's put it that way. Without giving away too much. There was The Invaders, There Was, and Gaspers were all very interesting films. There was a bunch of international shorts from all over the world, which were really good. Angelfish, which was a local done one. It was a lighthearted romantic comedy, and it was very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It was a little too realistic for my taste in some cases about, no, I'm going to change that. It was realistic, and it made its points, and I'm happy it did, about when people get accused of things that they didn't really do, or about what happens online when people go catfishing and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was realistic, but it told the right story, in my opinion. Now I could go on, but I wanted to just talk about a couple more of the features. Cherry Baby, great film, and it was a good buddy girl type film, and it involved a woman named Cherry, and it had and a lady who was played by a friend of mine, and it had a twist at the end that nobody saw coming. And I'm afraid I don't want to give it away, but they did leave a possible of information at the beginning, closer to the beginning, but I didn't really think that that they were gonna do anything with it till the very end. And you're like, what the just happened? And then I finally, since 1995, I've been wanting to see this film when it was made, and I finally saw it. Shadow Creature, and a couple of my friends were in it. And I'll tell you, this film is way, way out there. But a lot of it was filmed around Buff State, and it's a typical cheesy monster movie, but it's actually very well done. I mean, at some point you're kind of wondering which direction it's going in, but at that point and then last but not least, The Other Christmas Show. It was a musical about a community theater trying to do, and there was a lot of things in it that were very realistic. The LARP group, the way the community theater group operated, the way the bigger theater group operated. I mean, the person who wrote this movie knew what he was talking about. And I was very happy with that. And Adam Griswold, who I got to meet, who was the writer-director, he knew how to make this film and make it look good. And he also took a turn near the end that no one saw coming, and this time I really didn't see it coming. And the fact that it played out the way it did was amazing. So I highly recommend this. It's called The Other Christmas Show. All right, I'm done. Now back to, go ahead.
One moment, Sal. If I want to see those again,
Yeah.
how do I do that? Let's say somebody wants to see all these films.
Well, for the shorts, they'll probably end up on YouTube or one of those places, because once they finish the traveling, the film festival circuit. For the features, you just gotta hope that somebody picks them up and does a distribution, or someone sells them online or something, because you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, there are movies I've seen years that I've been going to this festival, and I rarely see them in the theaters. So, sometimes you can contact the director and ask them for a copy of it, saying you're going to pay. Or sometimes somebody else at a film festival might show it. But to be honest, once I see the film, I rarely see it again. And that's a
Okay.
shame because
Yeah.
I was only able to screen 60 of the 94 films.
Wow.
And, you know, I would love to have screened some of the others, but there's only so many.
Hours in a day.
Yeah, and I had other things planned and other times that there's just so much watching in a movie theater you can watch. I mean, I was there every day except 2 of the 10 days it was going. So I would love if some of these movies got a distribution even on an independent level. But unfortunately, it hasn't been. I mean, I could be wrong, but on my level, I have not seen. Once I see them at the film festival, I never see them again. Unless they're lucky enough, which has happened once or twice. But when you consider the volume of features that are at these films, if it's local, usually they have a couple local premieres, like our friend Kurt with his movie Doll Assassin.
Yeah,
Was it Doll Assassin?
Dial Assassin.
Something like that. Rag Doll Assassin. That's what it's called. Sorry, Kurt. But for a lot of those ones that were done by people outside the city, you know, it's really, really hard to find that you'll ever find these films. Unless, now what I'm hoping is that with the dawn of streaming the way it is, that streaming services are going to start picking up more independent films and web series and things like that, then maybe we'll see them somewhere. But there's no guarantees one way or the other.
They work so hard on these to put these together, and then
Yep.
you know.
My first feature film that I directed, it ran in 9 cities, and it sold a couple hundred DVDs. But it didn't. It never got a full distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So, even some of Greg's movies have not really seen a distribution. He sells the DVDs and stuff. But some, like our friend Adrian from Rochester, who's been a guest on the show, I believe his film got some kind of showing on the streaming service.
Oh, the one that he recently finished.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure on that. But, you know, when it comes to shorts, your best bet is streaming services or put them together into an anthology. If you're talking features, try distribution. If that doesn't work, try streaming services, because TV is not big on buying independent films, even though they probably should. And who knows what's going to happen in the future with TV, whether it's with cable or with broadcast or with pay-per-view. I mean, there are now... The good thing about people like us who are doing films now is that there's a lot of avenues for distribution that weren't there 10 years ago. But it's still kind of tough. So there were some movies I saw that I wish I could see again. Some movies I missed that I wish I could see.
Is there a DVD of these movies out that we could get from Greg or anybody?
No.
No.
The best you could do is contact the director or the producer and say...
Get the names.
Yeah, get the names. Because there's a Q&A after most of the films. Not all of them, but most of them. People traveled from all over the country and from overseas to be at this festival. So I was happy we had a really good turnout this year. So, anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's a fun festival. We saw Terry do her scene in the one short, which I really liked. I mean, you're one of the amazing ones, Terry.
The one with the where I played the mother.
Yes. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
I had to learn how to hold a cigarette for that one.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, she's holding a cigarette. Terry doesn't smoke.
Right. Cards too. Just dealing the cards. I had to
Yeah.
figure that out.
Right. The name of the film was I believe it was Phantom Fighters. Yes. Phantom Frights it was called.
Phantom Frights.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
But I just enjoyed having Frank on our show tonight.
yes,
and
Frank, I want to thank
let's
you
see your book there, Frank.
for being on the show and giving us
Hold it up.
everything you gave. Yes.
Just Jeans Disco and Dating, available on Amazon.
It's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It's also at the Italian Cultural Center on the corner of Hurdle and Delaware.
Ah.
You can walk right in and get it.
That's great.
Gave a few speeches there about the book, and they had nice turnouts there, so they've purchased a few of them for and have them there for sale.
Yeah, you got to do some readings at some different places, like at
Book signs.
convention. Yeah, at literary conventions, we have a thing called a reading room where the authors are set up to go in there and read from their book, and your fans come and watch you.
That-
Greg Lamberson has done that several times, among other authors. So,
Maybe
what do you
Find
right.
out about that. I never heard about that.
Oh, you did?
No.
Well, have you been to a literary
No, I'd love
convention?
to go.
Okay. We used to have a couple here in the area. They're on hiatus right now, but there's one new one that might be coming up pretty soon.
Oh, we'll get Frank in that one.
Yeah, Frank, do you would you do readings like that at
Oh,
different
absolutely.
places?
Absolutely. That
Yeah.
would be fun.
Absolutely. So, if someone wanted to contact you, how would they?
Easiest way is probably through Facebook. It's Frank Maraschiello, Maraschiello. People that read the book contact me on Facebook all the time, and I love to talk to people about it. It's been a real fun ride doing this and getting involved now in the movie part, and hopefully we get the movie done. And I want to film it around Buffalo and can go to all the places that Terry and I hung out at.
Buffalo has
4 years
become a
ago.
major film hub.
Yes,
So
it has.
we don't have to go to Hollywood anymore. Hollywood's coming here.
They're all coming here. I know.
Well,
I know.
we have a lot of great architecture, and we have a lot of people who are willing to work cheaply, and a lot of talent. So yes, Buffalo. If it wasn't for the bad weather, we'd be perfect.
Yeah, but some of these films want the snow.
Yeah, well, I mean,
You know.
we're not too
Right.
far from Toronto, and they're a major film and TV hub. So
Yeah.
it's not that big a deal. But Terry and I have acted in a lot of films, and I've put together one, and she's currently acting in a couple of my films, and I look forward to us working together more.
Oh, yes, I'd love
And
to.
Thank you for being my co-host.
And-
Frank, thank you for being a guest on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Al.
Frank. Thank you.
Terry, thank you.
All right.
been
So
a
for the
pleasure.
Oracle of Enlightenment, this is the Observer saying, see you later.